All right, so I think we are looking good. Light should be okay. Okay, that looks a little better. Hopefully that will not tip over. As happened before. Let's see. Do I want to put something? Well, hopefully that will be fine, and I'll try not to tip over the phone like I did before. Anywho, Happy New Year, everyone. It's Jynnette the Oracle, and I am here today for the first Oracle Talks for the year. Excuse me. Oracle Talks is now going to be occurring every Tuesday at 10 a.m. God willing, of course. Happy New Year. Yay. Hello. I had to be cute. Got a little outfit on. I'm actually going to be hanging out with friends later to have lunch. I think we're going to be starting this new tradition of going out to eat on New Year's Day together. So Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone has, had a chance to celebrate in their own way that feels appropriate for them, whether that was actually going out or just staying in. Your girl was working. Oh, good morning and Happy New Year. Can't stay long. Okay. Thank you for stopping by anyway. I actually was working all day. So if you saw on Instagram, hello, Omega 8. I was actually working at Mystic Journey because they were open. And then I also worked an event later on that evening. It was a wedding reception, so that actually was a lot of fun. Happy New Year, Amanda B. Hello, hello. Look at all these people. Yes, I love it. I love how everyone is actually awake right now. I didn't think anyone would actually be up, but no, it's all good. So I'm feeling good. I did a lot yesterday because I was just working, obviously, in the spirit, basically from 11 when I got to Mystic Journey till 11:30 at night. So I did have a little bit of a break in between, but yeah, it is what it is. So I'm surprised I actually have a voice right now because I was doing so many readings. God is good. And I'm here and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to be doing a 2019 year ahead forecast. What I've actually done is pulled an oracle card from, my favorite oracle deck, the Bral Talej, which I think is how it's pronounced. It might be Bral Talej, I'm not sure. Deck. So for the guidance for each of the months for the year. And then I also pulled a oracle card in general. And then I'm going to do a from the Enchanted Map Oracle deck, and then I also have the Ascension Cards, and I'll pull a card from that deck later on. I'm actually going to this is my first time actually doing a year ahead forecast. So, we'll see. This is specifically going to be about spiritual guidance and just channeling messages that come through. I don't know that I'll necessarily do an astrology one just because I'm already doing so much of that with my clients who are doing the 2019 forecast that I think I'm kind of burned out of the astrology stuff. So I would say if you want to really get that, then definitely book that session with me. But for this, the intention that I actually have is to spend the first half hour doing an interpretation of the messages for the human side of us in the collective, okay? And then the second half of this hour to be focused on lightworkers specifically and interpreting the cards in that way, because there is a lot of powerful energy that came out. And I'm sure if you're a lightworker or whether you identify as a light worker or not, but if you've definitely been doing a lot of work in the spirit and energetically, like you can already tell that this year is going to be quite potent. And that is definitely coming through in the cards in that way specifically. So the second half of this is going to be definitely much more esoteric, just as a heads up. Yeah, I'm not apologizing. I'm just letting you know. But this first half is going to be a little bit more accessible and less metaphysical, so to speak, comparatively. Anywho, with that being said, welcome to everyone new who is coming in. Hopefully the video is well. I'm on my data instead of Wi-Fi because I want to make sure that the video looks nice. and that the effort that I put in my makeup is actually showing through. Okay, so for January, actually, before we even do that, the overall energy from the Oracle deck is inner, number 53. Okay, and this is literally for me the card of inner sun alchemy, the process of alchemy and the ascension process. So the divine marriage of the human with the spirit, and this is, you know, the Sagittarian way, in my opinion. It's reaching beyond what we know to go to our next level. And I love the imagery on this card because it's like literally, yeah, like the soul or the sun here, the cup, the Holy Grail, and then just the spiraling energy that's showing up. And this obviously is, well, not obviously, but I correlate this also with the North Node transit through Cancer. This is a year of getting in touch with our true nature as soul beings, not just as human beings, right? Okay, so for January, we have this card 93, which is small, little in this deck. But this is for the more mundane interpretation. This is still the energy of planting seeds. So even though here in the Western world, you know, this is our new year, so to speak, in the natural world, we're still in the middle of winter, okay? So we're still actually getting deposits, so we haven't actually had the full reset yet. So, you know, it's not really, unless you've already been working on something and planning something, it's not really the time to be launching stuff. Like, you actually will probably still feel that you're in a bit of a flux and you're still not quite ready to like pull the trigger on some other big things. It's like you're going to do what you need to do, what you have to do, but there's still a time of assessing, which is purposeful. And that's actually been prevalent in many of my readings recently with folks. January specifically is just like, it's quiet time. Like, we're really going to need, I think, the full month to still do our assessment for what was working last year, what didn't work, and what we need to shift and adjust for this coming year. All right. Now for month 2, February, we have this card, Bringing Together. Okay. So this is when I see that the energy picks up again. Okay, so we go from the still a bit of the incubation energy of January, and then February is when things really start to kick off. This also makes sense for me astrologically, because this is a month after we've had the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn, which is happening this Saturday, and we are well into that manifestation energy. So I think if you are feeling any bit of a lag, if at all, this month, that would definitely be shifting in February. I also love in the imagery of this card, it's like these two hearts, one descending and one ascending. And this very much is still correlating to me, this communion with soul and humanity. Third month in March, we have the card Teacher. Okay, so this might be some actual teachers, you know, if you're doing any kind of continuing education, it might be mentors that you meet or that you engage with, folks who are further along in the path that you want to have, that you are networking with, because that energy for me is also kind of like your strategic network. It could be elders in your family, in your community, what have you, but it is a sense of stewardship and cultivation of what was planted earlier. Okay, so you will be able to get some guidance at that point to hopefully move you forward in a way that is in alignment with your goals. Now for April, we have this card, Power. Okay, I mean, power. They're using a different language down here because they do a mix of languages, but it's power. I find it interesting that that's showing up in April, because that month is when we have Saturn and Pluto and possibly Jupiter I'm not sure. I don't remember about Jupiter, but I know definitely Saturn and Pluto at the end of the month are going retrograde. So I think definitely a lot of issues around power or the lack thereof will be coming up again. But this is going to be, I think, more so in the context of contracts. So whether this is closing on a house, negotiating a pay raise, um, discussing the dynamics of an existing romantic relationship, et cetera, et cetera. It's that kind of stuff. But I think that's actually good energy. I really love the energy of this card because it's so multidimensional and prismatic. It's like all the energies and the colors are here. So that tells me, and it's reminiscent very much of this personal power, soul power coming through. So I think April is going to be a really nice, strong month. But in May, we have this card, enemy. Now, this could be external enemy or internal enemy, right? It really is just going to depend on the person. So there is, interestingly enough, right after you start exerting your power, shadow comes up, either within yourself or somebody who is not used to you exerting your power, giving pushback. So May is going to be a time for you to really check in and see who's for you and who's not. And also to check yourself if need be. Now, June, to conclude the first half of the year, we have this card, difficult. So this is about having to push through. Okay, especially after you have to deal with that enemy energy. It may be a separation. Happy New Year. Welcome, welcome. Again, if it's internal, external, it's about, for me, that card really about pushing through and not getting stuck in any kind of bittersweet energy. Not bittersweet, bitter energy. Like, don't be bitter. Don't be judgmental. Oh my gosh. This is how I know a lot of energy. I know I have a lot of energy coming through because like the left brain is shutting off because the other messages for the light workers wanting to come through. So hold your horses, team. I'm gonna get to it soon. Yeah, because like I want to talk about the light worker stuff, but I'm gonna get this done first. So yeah, now also in June, that is going to be the final month of the 6-month process of manifestation that is kicked off with the new moon solar eclipse. So that may also be a final push that you have to accomplish your goal. Okay, so push through, fight through it, you'll be good. Now, second half of the year, starting in July, we have this card, path. So this is nice to see, especially after, those previous 2 months of some difficult energy of, again, being in alignment with what your purpose is and being really clear. What I love about this card is it's so precise. It is so precise. It's specific, it's clear. And even though it's going through so many different phases and colors, it's right on track. So that's really beautiful. That's also when we have the next set of the new moon solar eclipse. That one's actually going to be in Cancer. So that is going to be a really beautiful reset. And again, that Cancer energy is related to the individual soul. So kudos to us for that month. Now in August, I hope I didn't say August for that one. That was July. For August, this card, daring. So this is nice because this is like, it's similar actually to the energy of February in that that's the month where you really do push forward out of the seed that was planted from the beginning of this new 6-month cycle of manifestation. So let me show you again January and February. So January, we have the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn. February, the energy gets moving again. July, we have path, new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. August, daring, pushing forward, and balance between the sun and the moon, the divine masculine, divine feminine within, and being, again, really clear and specific about where you are going. Now for September, we have this card, Awakening. So this could be some soul revelation, right? Because you see this little, well, not little, but the inner light there in the center of the card. So for those who are on the path of ascension, this could be an experience of waking up truly to your higher self. This could be a process of integration. This could be awakening to your soul purpose. That could become more clear in a deeper way. This could also be, especially with the imagery in this card, an awakening to the amount of help that you actually have in the spirit, whether it's spirit guides, guardian angels, loved ones who passed over, your ancestors. Okay, that's beautiful. September is also harvest time, and when we're coming into the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere. Now for October, we have this card Now. This is about the present moment, the presence of God, not being stuck in the past, not projecting to the future, but really being here and now. This is, for me, very much about communion with the divine, which is beautiful, especially after this process of awakening. It's like there's a reveal of something in the divine, which could be, what I talked about just now, or just an opening of devotion in the heart. Hello, Happy New Year. All right. So for all the new folks who are coming in that I see popping up, because they give me a little ticker of like people coming in and out. I'm doing a 2019 forecast, so I pulled cards for each of the month. So what I'm doing right now is just going through the more human interpretation of the cards to get out of the way. But after that, I'm going to jump into the lightworker interpretation of the cards. Okay, so for November, we have this card Time. So this talks about cycles, the closing out of cycles, the beginning of new cycles, but it's also a reminder that everything has its own timing, which we do not have control over, okay? And basically what our free will is deciding what our experience is going to be within that process, okay? We can't change the planet's orbit. we can't change other people. The only things we actually have control over are ourselves. So this is something that you come to understand and respect. Obviously, the more you age over time, because you just go through so much, and there's a wisdom that the elders in our community have that those who are younger don't. And when I say elder, I mean 70 plus. But that's a beautiful energy. It's also very restorative, in my opinion, because there's just so much of this balance that I see above and below. All right, and then lastly for December, I love this. We have Doorway. Okay. This is interesting because this is also when we have another new moon solar eclipse. So we're actually going to have 3 new moon solar eclipses in 2019, and that one is actually going to be happening, I believe it's actually happening on Christmas Day, on December 25th. So that's going to be really special. It's going to be really special. And the name on that card is Doorway. So I believe that's also oh no, that's a Capricorn one. It won't be Cancer. That eclipse. But there's also that energy of rebirth as well too. So I think there's actually going to be, in terms of markers for progression, if you want to be able to track your abilities and your soul awareness and the things that you're working on, I think there's going to be, it looks like 3 key instances or opportunities this year for you to do a check-in. The first being April when the power card shows up. Okay, so by that point, there should be some deeper revelation or aspect that is revealed to you. Then in September, with the awakening card, obviously, right? And then December. So that may be something to look at, especially if you're doing like any kind of like yoga teacher training or any travels to spiritual locations like India or things like that. And you may actually have some profound experiences in particular during that month, just because that energy looks like it's supportive for the breaking through and the breaking out of what is known and into the unknown. So that's really beautiful. Let me give the Oracle card for the human interpretation, the more mundane, and this card is Protecting Treasures. I'm going to bring it a little closer. These cards are beautiful. So I'm actually going to read this from the interpretation from the book. And that card is number 39, 3 and 9. 9 is an ascension number, 3 is creation. That also adds to 12, which is divine protection. And literally the quote for this is, "You're always protected and divinely directed." Well, there we go. All right, so the message is, although this is a time of great risk, know that at a fundamental level, you are able to move forward safely and securely. The proverbial nest egg is safe and sound, no matter the fluctuations in the world. And that actually reminds me of this. This actually looks like an egg. Guardian angels and other guides are whispering to you, making you aware of their protective presence. What was I just talking about with that? All right. Your loyalty is an important theme now. Nurture that which you hold dear. This is a good time to strengthen bonds of friendship and ensure their integrity. If you feel tested right now, know that a true and loyal heart always achieves its aim. Take refuge under an angel's wing. You are not alone and have no need to fear. Embrace your courage. Now, if that isn't a message for the North Node in Cancer, I don't know what is, because Cancer is about the heart, it's about the feeling of security and safety, and also, again, soul sovereignty. And that is the overall message for us, for our human self. Wow, this feels so right. Thank you, Jynnette. Oh, Happy New Year. You're welcome. So yeah, and this is related to how we care for our human self. And I know, I don't know if I've actually talked about this much, but I think another big thing for this year in terms of caring for the human side of us is the cultivation of what we consider to be family, and really creating more intimate connections in community, more small group stuff. I think there's actually going to be a greater pull this year to connect more offline. I don't think we're really going to fully leave the online space, but I think there is a deeper need for actual human connection, and really feel like you have a chosen family, regardless of whether or not you have healthy blood relatives. So yes, you are divinely protected. The truth of who you are as a soul cannot be damaged or destroyed, even though, you know, your humanity can go through a lot of things, right? But it's important to protect your heart, not to be on guard, but to protect the purity and the sanctity of it, and to make sure you cultivate an environment where it can express so fully, which is another reason why I love this card of power, because to me, this is also very much an open heart. So I would encourage you, and what I actually just heard was love more. I want you to see how much this year you can love. Primarily in a platonic sense, but, you know, also romantically. And in the romantic context, not in such a heavy way. And heavy meaning like not so encumbered by expectations. and desires and drives for the future and all that kind of stuff, but really truly loving the full nature of humanity, whether we like something or not, and to not judge it, but the heart, not really so much emotion, although emotion can be connected, but really heart-centered living is definitely coming through here in a way that is focused on sharing the experience, because I think the last year and a half where we've had the North Node transit through Leo has also been about heart-centered living, but it's been about getting clear about your own individual heart. And that will also continue with the North Node through Cancer, because again, it's about the individual soul. Leo and Cancer are very much two sides of the same coin. So that work will continue, but it's, I think, very much going to be vitally important that heart opening is being shared in community in whatever way that looks like. Okay, so I encourage that for you. So any questions on that for those who are here, any questions on that interpretation of the cards for caring for our human self, and also like what to expect in terms of what we may see in our kind of normal everyday spiritual and personal development. So you can type that into the comments. It's interesting, like there's actually not too much here that is related specifically to like love or money or career or things like that. Although I am using an oracle deck, so that's also probably why. But the cards specifically that came out are much more archetypal in nature. So whatever, I guess, as I say that, Spirit's like, well, it's archetypal in nature so that it can be used regardless of the specific focus that an individual has. So if this is career, you know, those months that I gave about activation of power, so to speak, or checkpoints, if you will, to see how you are progressing and what you're doing. That April time, the September time, and December time, those would be good times to check in with your work stuff and see like what strategies and tactics that you have in place are actually giving you the return that you're looking for, and what you might need to tweak, especially for April, because again, like I said, that's when Saturn and Pluto go retrograde. So that's a good time to look at the agreements that you've put in place and see what might need to be renegotiated at that point. You know, for relationships, February is probably going to be a really great time of deepening love, but there might be a rough patch that comes up in May and June, because those 2 months, enemy and difficult came up. But it's not anything that would necessarily like break down the relationship per se, because everything else after that looks to be pretty solid. So, you know, interpret it as you need. With that, let me check these comments. This is great. Thanks for providing some confirmation. Awesome. I love what you said about in-person connection. I've been thinking about starting a book club in my area. Yeah, that's actually one of my, not the book club, but one of my goals for this year is to be more specific about spending time with people in different contexts and stretching and learning and growing. Because one of the things, especially when you work for yourself, and in particular, I think when you work for yourself, it can be very easy to hermit. And I definitely don't want to do that, because a lot of the professional goals that I have for myself are going to require a lot of my time, but that's not an excuse to not still feed my humanity, not still feed my heart, and not still cultivate what I've worked so hard to build personally. So, and there's actually others in the group who have the same kind of sensibilities. So, you know, one of them actually started a Facebook group that's just for, you know, our little cluster here. And once a month, we're just going to do some activity that we've always been wanting to do, like things that have been interesting to us. Like we'll vote on whatever that thing is and pick a date to do it and just go do it, whoever is available to go. I'm also creating one, a smaller one for the single ladies, so we can like kind of get out the house because we're also like entrepreneurs, and we again tend to like just be working and not making ourselves more physically available and creating space. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more of that, and even for Melinda's Getting Free program, which hopefully you guys have signed up for if you're interested in it, right? You know, there is a concerted effort to not have it just be an online experience, but to also have offline group connections for folks who may be living in similar regions or areas, so that there can actually be a connection and a fostering of relationships and development. Because change happens on the individual and small scale level first before it can even shift in the larger context. So I think the revolution is coming home. Revolution is coming home. And the network and the net is strengthening. So that as these shifts come, that inevitably we're going to come because it's just life, you know, we don't shake because we have community to the left and the right of us that we know and that we actually hold in our heart, that are really like family, as opposed to just, you know, oh, I just see this person all the time at the coffee shop. Like, no, I've actually cultivated community of my heart. So I think the small group power that's available there is very much going to be a focus, and that to me is what's the word? Okay, well, a key treasure of the Cancer energy, so to speak. All right, any other comments or questions? And then if not, I will jump on. And welcome also to new folks coming in. I am doing a 2019 year ahead forecast. So I just spent this first half hour going through the more human interpretation of the cards. And if I don't see any comments or questions about that interpretation, I'm actually going to shift into the lightworker stuff because I can just feel that energy. Like messages. All right, anything else? Okay, it looks like we're good. All right, so let's move on then. Yeah, I'm excited. So, as I said at the beginning, overall message for us is inner 53, inner sun alchemy. I'm actually wondering, am I supposed to do the Ascension card first? 1 second, let me check it. Okay, I think I am. And I am getting something about the Galactic Council, but we'll see. I have my other decks if I need to do clarification on stuff, but okay, I can't take all these cards. 1 second, hold on. All right. So if you've had session with me, you know that when cards are flying everywhere, that means there's a lot of energy coming through. So, okay, so that's a lot of cards. So the one that actually like flew out and is over to the side, I knew it. Okay, so the primary card that came out, I will actually go through the other ones just because they came out. But the primary card that came out was Archangel Metatron, number 27. Okay, so I'm going to read the card. You are blessed to receive this card, for the mighty universal angel Metatron, who is coordinating the ascension of the planet, is touching you. He is illuminating your aura with his golden orange light as he works with your stellar gateway chakra. Your message is to relax. Relax. We're going to shift into a different channeling now. And I already feel the shift happening, so hopefully you're feeling it as well too. Your message is to relax and allow Metatron's wings to enfold you. Ask to visit him at his Ascension retreat in Luxor during meditation or sleep so that you can receive his guidance. This may come as a thought, a whisper, or a feeling. When you ask sincerely for help on your ascension journey, Metatron will open new doors for you and guide you. An affirmation is, I attune to Archangel Metatron today. So, and then the card number is 27, which is a 9. 27 is a powerful number. So I have to smile when I say that, because as I was in my work this morning before I jumped on, like Metatron immediately came through. Metatron's actually been showing up a lot this past week, which is different for me because I don't really work with that energy, but this has specifically been coming through, in addition to some other folks, which is private to me, unless it's in one of these other cards that pop up, which I'll share. But yeah, that's a really beautiful thing. And I think in part that is also because this year is very much, I think, going to be, at least that's what's been revealed to me through my interpretations, on the healing of the divine masculine principle, the divine masculine aspect within and without. Last year and the year before a little bit as well too, it was very centered on the divine feminine principle, divine feminine aspect within and without. This year is the masculine. And then when we get into the nodal transit into Gemini, that's going to be about the divine marriage of the two. And again, this is a collective reading that I'm doing. Like, obviously, every person individually there are different stages of what that can look like for their ascension work. But collectively, this is the overall process that is being worked on. And the ascension process, too, of the connection of the human consciousness with the divine. So that there is a divine marriage between those two. And that marriage can be between the human self and the higher self. That, to me, is the first level of ascension. That's where I think the bulk of folks who are doing work are actually going to be focused on, unless you are already further ahead, if you're ahead. But if you're more like a Waite, then you already were going through this the past couple of years, because we had to prep for the huge waves of folks now, right? Because the Waite go first, but it doesn't mean like no one else is coming. Like, other folks are coming too, but it's like you need folks who have stepped at least 1 or 2 ahead of the crowd to kind of work out the kinks and get their own tools that they've birthed through their own process to then share with others in the bulk of the next group, which is like, the main collective, to help them through the process with as much ease and grace as possible. Okay. So I think that's the primary message and energy. So I'm actually going to keep it first. So don't be surprised if Metatron starts to show up a lot for you as well. Oh, tears. Spiritual tears are always beautiful. Okay, so these are the other cards that popped over. This card, Ascended Master Retreats. Number 49, which is a 13, which is divine feminine number. The great masters of earth have had incarnations, mastered their lessons, and ascended. They are disciplined but compassionate, for they understand the challenges of being in a physical body. This is an invitation to visit in sleep or meditation those ascended masters from whom you wish to learn. In their retreats in the inner planes, they teach their skills and knowledge to students. You can absorb this at an etheric level and start to bring the wisdom into your life. If you feel a resonance with a particular, or if you feel a resonance with particular ascended masters, ask them to guide you. And the affirmation is, I walk with the ascended masters. I personally can confirm this because, like I said, this energy has again popped up for me specifically within the last week, actually, not 2 weeks. And two specific ascended masters have shown up, so I will be working with them, I'm sure, for the bulk of the year, unless others want to come in and there's a switch out. So with Jupiter being in Sagittarius, that is the energy of higher learning. So carve out time to learn, and you might honestly need anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, depending on how comfortable you are working with the higher realms on a regular basis. You might not be able to do that daily, but at least once a week, if you can, make a commitment to be in spiritual school, so to speak. Okay. Next card that came out was Marco, number 47, which is 11. Master Marco represents the highest galactic federation of our solar system, the capital of which is on Saturn. He liaises with Commander Ashtar of the Intergalactic Fleet to bring us the wisdom and knowledge held by stellar cultures. He also assists Hilarion on the 5th ray of technology, science, and knowledge to enable people to expand their higher mental abilities and develop spiritual technology for the future. Your guidance is to open your mind to communications and connections from other star systems and universes, and ask Marco to assist and protect you. And the affirmation is, I am open to wisdom from the stars. Okay. So if any of you have or feel an affinity to that, I personally don't, but if you do, then that might be an ascendant master that you can connect with. Next card is the Gold and Silver Cloak. Okay, and that's number 26, which is an 8, which is opening a portal, and it's also healing. You have chosen the card of Perfect Harmony. Oh yeah, perfect harmony, because gold is the masculine and silver is the feminine. Love it. When you balance your wisdom and power, giving and receiving, your connection with Hollow Earth and the 7th heaven, it offers you the courage to love. This makes you magnetic to people, animals, and situations so that you can attract all that is for your highest good. Your guidance is to bring yourself into harmony and balance, then visualize yourself wearing the gold and silver cloak so that you can draw in angel sonics to purify the energy around you. Expect the unexpected and miraculous. And the affirmation is, I am in total balance and harmony. Okay. Next card, Lord Cthulhu. Number 36, which is also a 9, number of ascension. Lord Cthulhu is the world teacher. In his incarnations as Saint Francis, Shah Jahan, who built the Taj Mahal, and Melchior, one of the wise men, Lord Cthulhu practiced harmlessness, love, and wisdom. These energies are encapsulated in this card, so you are encouraged to spread knowledge and spiritual truths to others with humility and inspiration. Be ready to learn, for Lord Cthulhu is drawing your attention to something important. He is a member of the Brotherhood of the Golden Robe, those who take in and transmute the pain of the world. If you are sensitive to energies, ask him to wrap you in his light. And the affirmation is, I am open to learning and teaching. So that's another Ascended Master. If you feel a resonance with it, you can connect to. So far we had Marco show up and then Lord Cthulhu. Mary Magdalene. Okay, this is number 35, which is also an 8. Healing in a portal. Mary Magdalene was a high initiate in the order of the Essenes and the spiritual partner of Jesus. She is now a master of the 6th ray, raising dogma into spirituality. Mary Magdalene's Ascension retreat is in Marseille. She radiates a glowing buttercup yellow light to all who attune to her. Her light was hidden from us for centuries as she was misjudged about her role in Jesus' life. If you have felt wronged or misunderstood, Mary Magdalene offers you the courage to maintain your integrity. This card is an invitation to attune to Mary Magdalene to receive her blessing. And the affirmation is, I maintain my truth and see the spirituality in all things. All right, so that's another Ascended Master you can connect with. The first feminine energy. So there is a dominance of the masculine principle showing up here, which again, I'm not surprised with. Next, the gold ray of Christ. Hey. Number 5. Blessings pour onto you when you choose this card of unconditional love. The gold ray of Christ is held within the cosmic heart at the 9th dimension. The angels ask you to invoke the love, wisdom, healing, and protection of this beautiful energy. Ask it to flow through you and surround you with its golden light. When you carry this high frequency force in your aura, you can relax and know you are totally safe. Remember to send the gold ray of Christ to others. And that also wasn't a slip up because Christ is light. It's just different words that we're using. Christos is the light, right? The affirmation is, I am the gold ray of Christ, or I am the gold ray of light, if you prefer not to use the Christ word. All right, so I love this. There seems to be a nice balance between Ascended Masters and tools for energetic healing and protection. And last one is another one. So Archangel Metatron's cloak. Okay, and this is number 51, which is a 6. 6 is a 6-pointed star, which is the symbol that we tend to associate with Metatron. It says, it is an honor to receive this card, for the cloak holds Metatron's energy to be held in your aura. It ensures that your 12 chakras are open and protects you from lower energies. This means that you can link to the 7th dimension of Hollow Earth and access wisdom from the 4 Ascension planets. Walk tall and stand in your power. Wearing this cloak will help you guide others on their ascension path. You are called on to do this. Empower people to see who they are and what they can do. The affirmation is, I stand in my power and lead others forward. All right, so yes, that was a lot. Sorry for all of the reading, but I hope that blessed your life. I think the primary thing, though, is the Ascended Master Retreat. So if this resonated with you, that came up, whether it's Marco, Lord Cthulhu, or Mary Magdalene, or any of the other tools that were provided, definitely tap into that energy, at least to start, okay? So any questions on that before I get into the month-by-month interpretation for the Lightworkers? That was a lot of information, so I definitely want to make sure I check in and make sure that we're good. And actually, I'm probably going to shift this around just a little bit because this will be a little bit over an hour. And I need to move things around so I can get my phone closer to the outlet so I can charge my phone. I don't run out of battery while I'm in the process of doing this. All right, so any questions? We good? Also, video still good? I see hearts, thank you. Good to see. We're loving the messages. I'm gonna bring this all over. Sorry for shaking this, guys. 1 second. There we go. Hopefully that is charging. All right. Move this a little bit over. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. I really don't want that to fall again like it did a couple weeks ago. The cards I just used were the Ascension cards from Diana Cooper. I do want to say that I don't necessarily agree with all the interpretations that are there in the messaging. But that's honestly the case for most things, as it should be. You should not be accepting like literally everything that everyone says or that comes through, because we're all just filters. So I also don't know what the let me look at the copyright, because it does actually feel a little dated to me. But they're still powerful cards. I'm not knocking this. So yeah, this was published in 2012. So there's been some massive shifts already just in the past 6 years. It's not even that old. So there's that. Cool. All right, so any other? Okay, good. Any other questions before we get into? I want this to not be wobbly. Okay. We good? Okay. If anything, I'll try to pay attention if somebody does type something. So, lightworker interpretation. January, with that new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn, this is the establishment of new karmic contracts for everyone collectively, period. Okay. So there's a lot of work that's going to be happening within the Akasha, whether consciously or unconsciously. A lot of that sense of like feeling like you're just floating in the ocean and don't quite know like the full extent of what the vision is, et cetera, et cetera. That fog will definitely be lifting by month's end, okay? Because by this point, the decisions will definitely be percolating down and be made on a soul level collectively. So the clarity about what's coming next and the ability to be able to project again the way a lot of us are used to being able to do is going to feel like it's coming back online now. Again, because collectively more decisions are being made, it's less in flux now. For February, bringing closer. This is actually a message from Metatron through the sun. That is going to be an activation of the inner Christ. So a lot of you, again, depending on where you are in your individual ascension journey, because there are multiple levels of the ascension process, right? You might be receiving some new assignments then, or might be receiving a name during that time, during that portal. And name doesn't necessarily have to mean like an actual spiritual name, although it can, but it also could just be a naming of function. A naming of function on a soul level, which would be part of your purpose. It really just depends. So just be on the lookout for that. And that clarity, again, would be coming through just because of the rewrite of the Akasha that has gone on, or that's going to be continue going on through January. Now in March, this is Ascended Master Energy, the teacher card. Or just spiritual leadership. So this might be working directly with the Ascended Masters for your own individual schooling, so to speak, in the etheric, but it could also be receiving spiritual food from a key teacher during that time. There also may be a remembrance and or reclamation of those who are of the Melchizedek order, which again would make sense given the energy of the year. So if you have a resonance with that, even faintly, that may actually come more clear by that time. You may get new symbols to work with as well that are more in alignment with the new energy as opposed to perpetuating the old. I think there's actually going to be a lot of that shift happening too. April, the power card. I just got the phrase soul retrieval. And this can be in all different kinds of levels. So if there are fragmentations that have happened on the human incarnation side, there would be some nice soul retrieval work that would be happening there, and that might actually be facilitated by some spiritual person that you're working with, that you started working with in March. It also could be, of course, soul retrieval with different dimensional aspects of your soul, not necessarily human-based, right? And the healing of that and a returning to home of the soul itself. This is also going to be a peak of the manifestation energy from the imprinting of the, or one of the first peaks, like obviously it's going to be a while, but one of the first peaks of what you can experience in terms of the power of the contracts that were created in the Akasha and that have been created in the Akasha that have been at this point coming to light. I'm hearing also reclamation of soul power and soul sovereignty at this point. This is also going to be right when we get past the spring equinox, which is the astrological new year, but it's not the spiritual new year. But the astrological new year is happening in in March. Now with May, this enemy card, it's enemy. Okay. If you've been following me for a while, you already know we are in the midst of spiritual warfare and battles at different levels. And depending on what level you're at, you're having to deal with some stuff. So this literally to me is what entities look like, the organic ones anyway, when they're attached to different chakras or along the ascension column. This is literally what it looks like to me. Okay. And then, that's the lower level stuff. And then the higher up you go, like the size may change, the form and the structure may change, but at least to start with, that's what that looks like to me. It's going to look like something different for everybody because everybody has different sensibilities. So this may be, on the collective scale for light workers, another purging of lower density energies, frequencies, thought forms, emotions, psychic cords, attachments, ET programs, or I should say AI programs or technology, etc. Both self-created or externally created. And it is also a cleaning up of the lower realms. Because there is this next level of the soul work and purpose, whatever work you have been doing and have already gained mastery in, and that is easy and that has been easy for you, you will be having to level up and you're going to be dealing with tougher energy. So as I call them, like the minions, the lowest level entity stuff, which are essentially unconscious and they're really easy to clear. This might be a shift into working with entities that are actually like minions that are more conscious. You know, if you're already working with minions that are more conscious, then you might actually be working with maybe some AI tech, depending on your level. You might be dealing with some lower dimensional beings that have power due to ritual, et cetera, et cetera. Like it really is going to depend. So, but wherever you are, just know that you are going to have to level up if you haven't already. Because I know I've also been talking about that as well too. There are different waves of people addressing things, but that's going to be a big one though. May. Let me actually see. I can get some specificity and then check to make sure. Okay. I don't see anything in the comments. Okay, so 7 of Swords. So this is, I mean, that card is about lies or truths not being told or stealing and things like that. So it's, we're not wanting to face things if it's an internal process. So whatever the enemy is, whether it is within or without, you've got to cut your cords with that stuff. Again, whether it's within yourself, your own thoughts, habits, and beliefs, or without something external. And this could be, you know, you working with clients. This could also be like if you do work on the land, with clearing the land, clearing the grids, etc. You may be facilitating a lot of purging of stuff there. Okay. I saw a question. By level up, are you referring to something specific? Level up meaning what would be next for you to be able to help to clear. But that is only honestly going to be in relation to how you're leveling up energetically and spiritually and in your energetic agency. Because if you're not vibrating at a higher level, or if it's actually not time for you to graduate to a next level, they're not going to put you in situations where you're having to level up in terms of the attack that you're addressing, because you don't have the skills and the tools. So that level up would only be happening again in tandem with your soul growth. Regardless, like there is stuff that is going to have to be addressed, but it's either going to be on the same level that you are, or if you've been doing some massive shifts and leveling up within your own ascension process up to that point, then it might be like a tougher boss to beat, like in a video game, right? So hopefully that explains. Now for June, we have this card, Difficult. Right? So this is where we are having to see and do some course correction regarding the interpersonal contracts that we have made, either in our human existence or in the spirit, and to see what's working or what's not working. And you may have to rescind some contracts, and you need to actually be at a place of personal growth where you can shift out of things much more quickly instead of trying to make it better. Especially as it relates to love. Cut those cords. Stop carrying stuff, please. Even though, yes, there are new contracts coming in with the Akasha, like technically, in my opinion, the full transit of Saturn through Capricorn is having to deal with the clearing out of the Akasha and the creation of new contracts. So this is just this phase that we're in right now because we're basically in the middle portion of the transit. So I'm pretty sure that it's probably going to be at that last new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn at the end of the year, where that will be the kind of last like major level of contract creation happening. Now, I am also getting something with that June time of something with the Crystal Kingdom. So I don't know if there is something about needing to redevelop a different relationship with the kingdom, or shifting or support that they need to have, or using them specifically to help with some healing work. But something about that just popped in. All right. Okay, so for July, we have the path. This is soul assignment, soul purpose. But this is asking you to actually purposefully practice moving when spirit tells you to move, or your soul tells you to move or to act. I think actually this corridor between May and in August is going to be actually, okay, so I just got drop off of another timeline. So July may feel like you're having to trust the directive from your soul, from spirit directly, even more so during that time, because it's going to be a bit in flux. And it's another choice point of what timeline we're going to inhabit, higher or lower. So, of course, choose the ascended path. For August, this is a rebirth, a new awakening as well, too. And this is another corridor of ascension and integration. That's another time of leveling up for sure. Just like in April. And it is a new path. It is the experience of whatever new timeline was chosen in July. Okay? So you have to push forward and fight through that. And in particular, you can work with the pink flame, as well as Raphael, Archangel Raphael, if needed during that time. Now for September, we have the Awakening card. This to me is a spiritual new year during this month. So this is a time of quiet and going within. You know, at this point, summer is going to be over. So there is going to be a renewing of the soul, a renewing of the spirit for the upcoming 12 months. So it's going to be important to review at this time what you have learned from your teachers, whether in the physical or in the spirit, as well as your team, to check in with them. If possible, for September, and as well, if possible, October, but probably even more so September, to be honest. That would actually be the priority of the two. Schedule some time to be alone. Take a vacation so that you can be quiet, preferably in nature or near water. But you need to be able to be quiet and be still at that point, which I know sometimes can actually be tough because that's, for the beginning of the school year. For those of you who might be parents, that month might be a little crazy. There's Labor Day and like all this kind of stuff, and there tends to be a lot of external activity, and it's similar actually to our holiday season for December. There's a lot of external activity, but we're actually supposed to be really quiet. There's a strong message about that coming through, because there's a lot that's going to be coming through and downloaded to you during that time. That is the restart, the reset. Spiritual New Year during that September time. October is, that door is open. That door is still open. It is still a time of healing and restoration and enjoying and sitting in the presence of God, the stillness of that. So like I said, if you can't take time off in September, please take time off in October. At that point as well too, because of the messages that came through in September, the assignments for what is for you to do for the coming year, and the clarity about that, the specificity, the goals, etc., actually come through in October. Okay, once we have the spiritual new moon, October is that time when you actually are literally planting the seeds for what's ahead in the spirit. Okay, so that is the time to actually be making the plans, your New Year's resolutions is then, not January. And that's going to be interesting to see what that's about, because the upcoming year is going to be the conjunction between Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. And then at some point in December, possibly, or January, the sun's going to be involved in that too, because that's the Capricorn month. And actually, let me get my ephemeris and see. 1 second. If there's a conjunction happening with at least 3 of those planets in December or in January, because that's going to be powerful to talk about new contracts. Woo. My goodness. Okay. So it looks like it won't be, there'll be a conjunction with probably, it's the sun and Jupiter at the end of the month. But by that time, Saturn and Pluto are in the 3rd decan, so in the final decan of the sign of Capricorn. Let's see. And I use Lee Moon Calendar. I love them. Artwork is beautiful in there. I highly suggest trying them out, supporting women and women identified individuals. Okay, so 1 second. Let me see if it says, okay, so it's actually giving a conjunction between the sun and Jupiter on the 27th. So keep that in mind, December 27th of this year, which is literally 2 days after the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn. So that 3-day corridor is going to be powerful. And then let's see if there's a conjunction with Saturn and Pluto that will show, oh, they end at January 5th. So it's probably happening it might actually be happening like midway through January for the sun with Saturn and Pluto. Because at that point, I think they're actually really close together, Saturn and Pluto. Well, yeah, because they're about to have conjunction. So that most likely would be probably around January 15th or so of next year, 2020. That's going to be powerful. Okay. Back to this last 2 months, November. We have the time card. So this is the closing out of another set of cycles. So this, for me, I'm actually getting as the finishing of the mid section of the Saturn transit through Capricorn. Okay, the Saturn transit through Capricorn is 30 months. So to me, I divide it into 3 parts: 10 months, 10 months, and 10 months. The first 10 months are usually the toughest because it's really like having to break away from the old cycle. And it's really marked by a time of deep transition and having to continually face, past relationships, the jobs that you're in, et cetera, and trying to extricate yourself and shift into something new. Once we get into the second set of the 10, you've already laid a good portion, if not all of the foundation, but, for the most part, you lay the foundation in the first 10 months. The second 10 months is when you start putting in place the scaffolding for what you are building for the future. So this process is going to be closed out by this time, at the latest. And then the last, approximately, because, obviously we're a little past the second 10 months at this point. But the last 10 months is going to be essentially like putting the finishing touches. So, filling in the walls, the electrical wiring and the plumbing and the interior decorating and actually not the interior decorating, but like the completion of the house would be the last third. So that's what we're going to be shifting into. There may also be some specific off-world connections that are made for you depending on your soul journey. Is what I'm getting with that as well too. Now in December, the doorway card, that is literally the shift into something new, right? The last leg of the journey. And this is specifically a message from Mother Earth. The time card is actually from the Great Cosmic Mother. So it's the Great Cosmic Mother, the Great Womb, November, closing out the cycle. And then her daughter, Mother Earth, one of her daughters, because Cosmic Mother has many daughters, but her daughter, Mother Earth, opening up and speaking about her sovereignty and the role that you play in that relationship and what you are to build for the next leg of the journey and the legacy that she needs cultivated. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. That was fun. Yeah, like literally, I think that was it because it was just like, okay, I got out everything I need to get out. I don't feel that flurry of energy coming through. All right, so any questions? I'll stay on for a few more minutes regarding those messages for the year. Either around what I said or things that have been coming through during the facilitation of this channeling. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Like I said earlier, this is my first time doing a year ahead forecast reading, so I do enjoy. We'll see if I can keep the same setup for next year. I definitely want to have the Oracle talks this year be significantly more esoteric and metaphysical to help people stretch more. So also, if you could, for if you're thinking about questions that you have, if you haven't already, please like the live video because it helps, just like on Facebook and Instagram, it helps to expose it to other folks who are on YouTube. So liking and making comments increases the engagement and increases the exposure. So thank you. Those entities look yucky. Yeah, they are gross. It's not fun to see and it's not fun to clear. But if you're a light worker, you got to deal with it. Especially if you do healing work. Just you have to deal with it. Any questions? I hope you all are having a wonderful first day of the year. I'm actually going to grab a little snack before I head to full-on lunch with folks and rest a bit. I got some new flowers from our altar, which is good. New energy there. I need to make an. I actually have 2 altars because I'm me. So, I got a lot of work to do. That was magical, really amazing how the info comes through. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I channel. I just channel. But it was nice to see Metatron come through because, like I said, that energy has been very pronounced as of late, just like literally within the last couple of days or last week or so. So that's powerful. Oh, let's see if I actually have any announcements. The last day to sign up for Melinda's Getting Free program is the 6th. Then she's actually going offline. So yeah, but the program actually starts on the 20th, just as an FYI. It is priced very well. It's accessible. I think it's only like, 50 or 60 bucks a month. And this is the second year of her doing this, and it's expanded. I'm one of several featured guest experts. When I find out, actually, it won't really matter because if you're not in the program, you won't be able to see. But for folks in the program, like, you'll be told when our actual live interviews with her are going to be. And each of us also created specific worksheets that the participants can work through and use throughout the year, because I think there's going to be a theme each month and a focus each month. I'm not really sure how it's being structured compared to last year, because I think there is a very strong move on her part to not carry the burden on everything. So this is definitely going to be more of a, I think, group and community oriented program, which is good. So yeah, I actually won't be able to announce it here because it's not going to be relevant. So never mind. But if you want to be a part of it, and if you are looking for a community of women to connect with and potentially develop friendships with and have support with, facing trauma, dealing with relationship stuff, health stuff, motherhood stuff, finances, all the things, like, I do recommend, because as women, we do need safe spaces. I'm not just talking about it just because I'm a part of it. She really does do quality work, and she's very real. It's not a lot of spiritual woo-woo or spiritual bypassing, as I like to call it. And I think it's important for us to really connect with each other. I mean, that's how I live my life anyway, so I already have that built in. And I worked on that specifically for the past couple of years, because it takes time to build relationships. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I have what I need in a year. It's like, no, it's probably taken me like a good 5 years realistically, if I'm honest, to get to a solid place. And then of course, there's been refining since then, but it took a while. All right. Anything that's important actually takes time. That's a message. Anything that's important actually does take time. So whether that's, changing your body, physical fitness, the results that you see after a year is going to be very different from the results you see after just 6 months. Like you gotta be in things for the long haul, because you actually see a greater return on investment, so to speak, the longer you're actually in something. So if you want to excel, dig in and stay in. Okay, but yeah, other announcements. I will be on the February 6th show of the Beyond the Ordinary. When I get more details about that, like when the season starts and all that kind of stuff, and my new flyer for the season, I'll definitely share that. It'll be a brand new package that is offered, and it should be pretty powerful. Brand new subject as well too, and it's going to be powerful because I already sent in my stuff, my info. So I'm excited. I'm specifically going to be operating in a very different way this year to stretch people further, because it's time and people are ready. What else is going on? I think that's it in terms of business. At least, that's coming up in the next few months, because I have other stuff that I'm doing. So that's plenty. All right. So it looks like there's no other question. Let's see. You brought through my entire soul family practically. Oh, well, there we go. I love it. I mean, they just show up. I have access to a lot, so I don't work with everyone, but I work with many. So just because I have, well, I'm an old soul. I know I look young, but my soul's been around for a long time. All right, but I think that we are good. Let me see if they have any other messages. Anything from Metatron, actually. Just spend time with him, or them, I should say, because it's actually not a he. I actually get annoyed gendering divine beings because they don't have a gender. They just show up to us in a way that it's easy for us to understand. And usually with the angels, a lot of times they will show up in a human form because we can understand that. Even the archangels at times, but not all archangels show up to me in humanoid form. Sometimes they really just truly show as light, depending on the type of work that they do. Now, Metatron specifically has never been anything but the word that came through was the great constructor. Interesting. Anyway, okay. I'm not going to go on another tangent because I can tell that's about to happen. All right, love you all. Like I said, please like the video and share it if you're so willing to, but at the very least, like it so that it helps to boost the spread here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. That way you always get notified whenever I jump on onto YouTube Live. So again, the Oracle Talks will happen every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, unless it's the date I need to take off, but it'll always be that. And yeah, also I am actually about to send out the newsletter, so that will be good. And I finally went through and added folks. I'm so behind on some stuff, but anywho, that's gonna come out, and in just a few minutes. And then finally, if you want to do a 2019 forecast, please book sooner rather than later, because this year in particular, but especially these first couple months of the year, my time is very limited because I'm actually going to start editing the short film that I shot in December. And I'm also going to start working on my book. And I have a lot of other things. I also am going to be working more days at Mystic Journey. So I'm now going to be there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So my time and my availability, I should say, the time is the same, but my availability is going to be less. So if you want to get a reading, I just created my availability. So when you submit a request for a booking, I'm basically going to give you the schedule for the entire month. So, and I would highly advise that when you submit a request and you get that email back, be prepared to pay immediately, okay? Just because like I can't hold days and times for folks because I just have too many people reaching out or like just going back and forth, okay? And I want to be able to respect other people as well as myself. There will be sessions now on Saturday, whereas I haven't done that before because I'm also changing my work schedule. So that will be good for those who are not available to do sessions during the week, during the daytime, or especially those who have kids and they can't do like even like early evening stuff. There is going to be Saturday options now, but again, those are going to be limited depending on what else I have going on. So there's that. And I think that's it. All right. So Happy New Year again. Thank you all to those who joined me. If you just came in at the tail end or so, definitely go back and watch. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have an amazing new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn this Saturday. It's going to be powerful. Stay strong through it because it's still a new moon. So it might be a little, exposed emotionally because it's the dark of the moon. Stay up, stay bright, stay light. And just remember that at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in a time of increasing light. So the revelation is at hand. All right. Have a good day, guys.